Hey, what's going on? This is your friend Buck at the No Tape Deck podcast, coming back for a third episode on a Tuesday, and I am here with my first official podcast guest,
What's up?
and I would be here with the Schultz-ster, the man, the myth, the legend.
Some would say.
Some would say, exactly, yeah, exactly. Known as that in at least 47 states. But no, thanks, man, for coming through.
Not allowed in the other five.
That's right, exactly. Do the states count that aren't attached to the mainland?
Only been off the mainland once.
Exactly.
Can never go back.
Can never go back. I feel like at that point you would end up in like Guam. But no, thanks for coming through today. We've been sitting here actually talking for a bit and just kind of talking YouTube stuff. So I said, hey, let's throw on the microphones. Let's see what we can make out of this today. And Travis has been running the channel for how long now?
2018, I think, was when I made my first like conscious video onto YouTube.
Yeah.
So 7 years.
7 years.
Yeah, but then at real active now about 3. Like really going hard, buying equipment, learning the stuff about 3 years now.
Yeah, because anytime I talk to you, it's like the editing, and I'm doing basic edits in like iMovie and CapCut right now, which are super, super basic. But I feel like it's almost like I'm getting the degree in, what's the program you use?
Premiere Pro.
Premiere Pro. Yeah, which someday. Right now it's just a couple microphones and a desktop app that records the vocal. But it's always cool to understand kind of what you do in terms of not just like the camera stuff and seeing the visuals, but there's a lot like anything else.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. There's a lot to learn. I dedicated a lot to it. I dedicated over a year just learning the editing, and still, go through my YouTube history. There's like how-tos, like 10-minute how-tos, like
right.
See stuff like, closed captioning, bigger and smaller, and it looks all animated and whatnot.
Yeah.
How the hell you do that? Oh, figure it out real quick.
Yeah, because anytime I've watched your videos over the last several years, you can see that, progression. And there was one you did recently. I think it was at like the Ron Tonkin dealership, the Ferrari.
Gran Turismo. Yeah, I went Ferrari shopping.
Yeah, and it's like there were, I love the way like some of the, the verbiage, the words on the screen, like how it just sort of come up like, comment, subscribe. Like it just looked super pro. Not that it didn't look pro before, but it's what I'm saying is it's cool when you can see the evolution of that hard work behind the scenes. Because the finished product, whether it's your video or somebody that gets 1 million views or whatever, it's like it's that production that you don't see. It's like Kobe Bryant showing up to the gym at 6 a.m. is what it is. You just see him making the baskets and winning the championships, and that's awesome. But you don't see the work that goes into it.
And I watch other creators and I wonder, how in the hell do these guys pump out videos and do what they're doing, like live their life?
Yeah.
And I've heard it said a few different times in a few different ways that the guys that are real successful, these guys that 1 million plus subscribers and, they're doing it 1 or 2 a week, it's their life. Like it's basically a vlog, if you will. And it's their life.
Right.
Whatever it is they're doing is interesting enough to be filmed and to put out a video, like Cletus. I'd love to know how that guy does what he does. I know a lot of it's iPhone, and so it's got to be like iCloud, and then he's got to be doing it with a Mac. But I know there's GoPros involved, and I know they have handheld cameras too. And like in-car footage is GoPros and stuff. And so that stuff's got to be his hit record on the camera has got to be so sharp to keep the fat off of it. Because that's what's the hard part is when you've got, a 5-minute video, but you need 30 seconds of it. Well, where's that 30 seconds in that 5 minutes?
Right.
That takes you 10 minutes to find, and then cut it down and, do all this. It takes a lot of time just to get that little bit. So how does this guy pump out video after video after video? Unless it's something that he has templated and it's an Apple thing, or I don't know. Like I haven't figured it out yet, but I know for me, it's a few hours, to get a 8 to 10, 12-minute video is 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah, that's, the reason why I'm leaning into the podcast is, first YouTube is the number one podcast source these days, and I got hooked on podcasts through Apple mostly and a little bit of Spotify. But, it's kind of having that thought of like, well, I've kind of been playing around with YouTube for several years. It's always kind of fun to like razz my son and like say, look, I have more subscribers than you, and like I'm your old man, and I have more views than you. So get your ass in gear,
Right?
And I love the stuff he's doing. He's got some beats on there. I'll probably, I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do today for a music touch on this video, but most likely I'm gonna put in one of his beats at the end of this video. So
Link in the description below.
and the link in the description below. Absolutely. Good shout on that one. But for me, I'm looking at it like I see these videos and they're awesome to watch because like we were talking about a few minutes ago, I've found ever since I've subscribed to YouTube that's just where I gravitate to watch like over pretty much Netflix over anything else is just, it's like I'd rather watch like your video and whoever, I like to watch. And like the old drummer from Sum 41, he's got this station now called like The Drummer in the Basement or something. Steve 32. He's hilarious. And he tells stories about like, how they made the video or how they produced the song, or it's hilarious stuff. But it's very like grassroots, and that's a lot of the stuff that's music related, car related that I gravitate to. It's like, I'd rather turn on and watch that versus a lot of other shows. Cause it's like, you're just closer to it. And it's like, I'd rather support that than, not that I don't want to watch the big shows, but.
Well, with what you're doing, you could get away with a couple of old iPhones, some sort of phone holder and a tripod. Set those up.
Yeah.
You got iMovie.
Yeah.
You keep the platform the same. It's going to be, that's kind of the key.
Yeah.
Because if you can keep it all the same, then you're going to just be money.
Yeah. At some point, perhaps, video maybe, but I'm just trying to, sort of keep it, very simple and easy to like drop in a sound file and maybe some music. And
you would be amazed once you get in there.
I know.
And
it's like one thing leads to another. And if you want to make,
you said it yourself, the progressions of my videos, like that, like, comment, subscribe, all that is the graphic template within inside Premiere Pro that I can drag in. And I can manipulate that, and then I can add a sound file to it, because all that is just a video file. And then I've added what you hear, and that's got that from Epidemic, and pulled that in and made that what it is. And then like my outro, I just made that one day, and that's a whole separate file that I just pull in at the end of every video.
Right.
Just drop it in, and I don't do anything to that. I adjust the volume. They give you a way to auto, make everything basically sound the same. Which is really nice. That's really helped. So I can just kind of click through there, and it's just done. So like, it's really like, at first, yes, it's overwhelming to get in there, get both your feet wet, and to get it. But once you're in, it's like, I can't wait to go home and like start doing all this. And like, because 2 camera stuff isn't something that I do a lot of.
Gotcha.
And, it's all just me with one camera.
Yeah, even like the basic editing stuff. So like me and my chick were sitting around, well, not sitting around, but over the weekend we were doing a few different things, but throughout the weekend we were watching live Coachella, or as we called it, Couchella, because we didn't endure the high ticket price or the long lines.
You didn't finance it like everybody else?
Listen, there was no bottom line APR financing on the Coachella. I mean, at this 45 years young, I think we're going to do a festival later this year in Vegas, but yeah, so we were watching, different, sets and whatnot. So I got a bunch of screen grabs. I made some shorts because a lot of people were looking at shorts at the time. So I was kind of testing that and seeing kind of what kind of traction they get. Like the LA Philharmonic came out and, Symphony Right. And it's like, oh, this is really jazzy and relaxing. And then out of nowhere, like there's Dave Grohl doing a song with him. Sweet. And you're like, oh, and then I'll have to pull it up here in a sec, but the gal from the movie Wicked, she came out and sang Purple Rain, and that was probably my favorite single, like Blown Away. Never heard her sing in my life, but it was like, singing the Prince song with Dave Grohl. It was pretty incredible. So, but right now I'm editing a video that's like my top 10 performances, and it is. I spent a few hours on it last night. It's pretty addicting. Like woke up, like 5 a.m. for a few minutes, and I was like, oh, I want to drop in this clip. I'm like, I'm up anyways. And
Why
then,
not?
yeah, why not? It's like, it like the thought hit me and I, dropped it in there and then went back to sleep. But, yeah, so I love doing it, but with the podcast end of things, just trying to find a streamlined, process. It's kind of funky when you think YouTube, you're always thinking videos, and then you're like, wait a minute, they recently passed Apple for the amount of, people that are seeking podcasts. YouTube's the number one platform now, which is, I would have never even thought that until I looked for it.
Well, dude, it's got to be so easy to have like an iPhone here and an iPhone there, import this stuff in, and I'm sure it's got to do some sort of thing like that where it's just back and forth. Like,
Right.
Sea Boys, like these dudes from Minnesota.
Okay.
They're probably late 20s, early 30s, and they're just, the dude reminds me so much of us. And that's why I can watch these guys. Is it's like, dude, I so wish this was a thing when we were younger. We would have.
I mean,
we would have
some
ruled
of it.
Yeah, well, we would have wrote the community guidelines for sure. But they do a podcast, and there's usually two of them in the back, one guy running the podcast, running a board, and then the rest of them just sitting on a couch, and they have boom mics and they have their headphones on and they're just sitting around BS, and it's like an hour and 15 minutes long. And what they have, when you see the backside of it, they have like one camera here looking at these two, one camera looking at these two, and then another camera that every now and then, again, they throw in the guy running the board. Like,
it makes me think of Full Send or Steve-O podcast.
Yeah.
Because I remember one day hanging out with Tyson and his kiddos and his wife, and we're getting ready to eat dinner, and he puts on Full Send, and I'm like, podcasts are on YouTube? This was like 2.5, 3 years ago.
Yeah, it took me a minute to get into it.
And I was already like into podcasts because, it's great at night. It's great in the car. It's like you start to like get all this information and you're just like, oh, I like this one and the comedy and the whatever, The one that got me into it is one out of Australia they're one of the OG podcasts from like 2009. They're called Mysterious Universe.
Yeah, I've listened to some of that stuff.
And
you turned me on to those guys, and I listened to them one day at work.
Yeah.
And dude, it was like
yeah,
layers upon this and that. I'm like, is this true? Like, what I'm listening to, is this actually true?
And what's crazy is these two dudes, they will deep dive because they do one episode a week. And they get into some of the craziest, and you got to take some of it with a grain of salt. But I remember they did an episode back in 2021, essentially about how, I should probably be really careful how I word this.
Get the beep button ready.
Basically how, from an electronic standpoint, everything could just shut off globally very quickly and without warning, from outer space to everything on the planet. And so, and speaking of that, there's another podcast that I'm super into that I'll probably be doing an episode soon in regards to it. I've listened to this episode in the last week and a half, probably 6 or 7 times, but it's this guy, he's a singer of a band called H2O. So the podcast called One Life, One Chance, and he had Tom DeLonge on last week. And when he goes on a podcast, whether it's Steve-O or his own To the Stars, he's like worked with the CIA. He knows about aliens, like he knows, know, in the 2016 email scandal, like emails were uncovered between him and John Podesta, and everybody went like, well, why is this guitarist talking to John Podesta? So like, he knows. He basically says on this podcast, I'll get creative. I'll put the clip in, just since we're talking about it now. But he basically talks about the Pacific Northwest and that he knows for a fact Bigfoot's real, and he tells why.
But a lot of people feel that we need to know it's nature,
And Bigfoot also.
Bigfoot's real. Dude, I have a military map framed at my house that's current from Naval Intelligence. It's called an invasion tactics map or something. You get these maps when you go to war. And if you get in a gunfight and you're running for your life, these special forces guys pull out these maps, and it's a topography of the area, longitude, latitude. It's got poisonous plants you can eat, dangerous animals you can eat, star charts. My brother took one when he fought in the war in Iraq. He had one for the Tigris and Euphrates River because he was special operations for the naval fast boats. So if they got in a firefight, he's got a map of the area if he's got to run for his fucking save his ass. Well, this one is for Washington.
Okay.
Pacific Northwest.
Damn.
And on it is Sasquatch. It's listed on there as a dangerous animal next to a bobcat. And it's a current map from Naval Intelligence. Yeah. And you can't get this as a civilian. Can't say how I got it. So I framed
is there
it.
more than one of them?
It's crazy. Like, because he gets to sit in rooms and ask any questions he wants to the 3-letter agencies, as he says. And he basically, he's sitting in this guy's kitchen at an apartment in LA talking to this guy, Toby Morrison. What he says, I like screenshotted it, sent it to, Vanessa right away. I'm like, you have to listen to this. Like, I can't believe what he just said. I mean, he's already talking about UFOs and stuff, but so to kind of dovetail off of the mysterious universe stuff, it's crazy to think that essentially our government finally admitted it, a couple of years ago, but Canada admitted it back in like 2012. And for the life of me, to this day, I still can't find that video anywhere where it was like their whole, were they like a parliament? What's their government structure? Canada?
Yeah.
Like
parliamentary.
their version of the White House. They had all their elected officials, and the question came up about the Greys, as they're called. And whoever was speaking said, yeah, they're here. They're among us. They're real. Moving on, next question. And I went, wait a minute. This is back in like 2012.
They just glossed over it.
Just fully disclosed that the Greys, aliens, are here.
Wow.
And moved on. So then when this other stuff got disclosed a few years ago, it was like, yeah, I kind of already knew, but still to this day, I can't find that video on YouTube anywhere. And I watched it on YouTube, and I remember where I was living. So I remember the time frame. It was 2012. It was when my daughter was born. And just going, I can't believe Canada just disclosed that they're real. Like, awesome. Go Canada. So, anyways, but yeah. So back to the podcast, thing, just podcasts like Mysterious Universe. There's just, so many out there. There's one lately that takes up a lot of my time called Disgraceland. And this guy that just does these, like Tom Petty or Mama Cass, or it's the way he tells the story is just, yeah, I'll shoot an episode, but they're like remarkable the way that he talks about him. And like, I listened to this 45-minute episode on Tom Petty, and I felt like I knew a lot about Tom Petty before, but you learn so much different perspective, I guess. I don't know where this guy gets his information, but it's really well written. So yeah, and that's kind of led me back to this platform. It's like, oh, well, I already have the YouTube, and I guess podcasts are a huge thing on there now. So might as well, but trying to keep, watching a production like yours, it's like, that's, it's a lot of work, which is awesome to see.
Yeah. There's, different layers to it. And I've never felt like I've been creative.
Yeah.
Like, I don't draw. I remember I tried to play the drums, your dad's garage. I felt like a 4-armed monkey. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. Still can't. Yeah. Still can't make my feet and my arms do 2 different things at the same time. Like, I can't dance. I can't do any of that. And so I'm like, well, I like all this stuff. You know? And then my knee, that's the other part of it. Like, no, I can't be working like I am now later in life. Right. And then, when my dad died, that was it. Kind of one of the things that it made me think of was like, I have like 3 videos and a handful of pictures. Right. And that's it. Like, I don't have much of anything. Yeah. Totally. Like that. And so for my kids or my family or anybody else, here's something, that is always something to go back on. As long as YouTube is a platform and a thing, then those videos will always exist. And that's another reason why I have everything on a hard drive. Yeah. Like, everything is tangible. Yeah. Hopefully they don't fail, but, maybe one day it'll get moved to more of a, they're actually on a hard drive. They probably should be on a solid state or something. I don't know. I don't want to say cloud-based, but, I don't know, something that really can't fail. Put it on a cassette tape, something that can't be. I wonder
what the amount of time is like I got an email the other day about like an email address that was like some stupid idea I had for like an Instagram page, like some funny, I don't know, but it was hilarious. Like look at this email address, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember. You get like that harebrained idea of like, oh, this would make a funny page.
Dude, I did that. Yeah. I started a Facebook page. Yeah. Well, my sister and my brother-in-law. Right. I put out the idea, and I think LJ might have started the page, maybe an admin of it. Yeah. But it was like all these just messed up cars, like this part and this part, and just the front end off of something and whatever. Right. And I was like, dude, this is like Sid from next door with the way he would play with toys. Just put whatever with it, whatever. And so it's called Sid's Garage, and it's a real thing with some fucked up looking cars on there.
But I haven't logged in like I don't know, a decade. And I thought it made me think. I went, okay, so like with the channel, like to your point, sort of like a, hey, like here's something. Cause I think parents, you know, their generation, it wasn't normal to really document a lot of stuff. And it's not even really documenting. It's just kind of.
My grandma had a shitload of pictures.
Yeah. Man, out in the garage right now, I've got like right there, a bunch of stuff from like 1915, 1920, 1925, crazy stuff. I know my grandma had a boatload, but like our parents' generation, I think that kind of missed them a little bit. I have some stuff from my mom, which
I think it was just harder.
Yeah, I do. I think it was.
There was that whole transitional thing. You know, the late 70s, early 80s was definitely dark ages to some sort of light age when you're talking technology wise and recordable technology. Like in the 70s, it was expensive. It was big. You know, computers were whole rooms for a long time.
Exactly.
And then they became more smaller and more condensed. And then, you know, it was an ever changing thing. Did you get a DVD or what was it? It was DVD or Betamax or Laserdisc at first.
Beta was also.
VHS and Beta.
VHS Beta, and then there was and it's kind of like they're almost like testing the market, like which one's gonna grab.
So which one do you go with?
Yeah.
And then you dump all your money into this, and now it's obsolete. You know, that kind of thing. And now you've got all of these recorded memories on this thing that's now obsolete, and then you got to switch platforms. And so it was like, it wasn't so thinned out like it is now. Like now you got an Android and you got an iPhone.
Yeah.
Or I mean, Android and iPhone.
Yeah. It's just two different platforms.
But, well, and then
it's very synonymous.
But they're in your pocket too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're never gonna have a calculator in your pocket. But look at this. I got a 4K digital camera in my pocket.
Well, yeah, it's mind blowing. You know, I know this is gonna date us, boy, back in my day. But you know, I
had to wait for my sister to get off the phone.
if you I know we were happy with our BMX bikes and our ramshackled jumps. Sorry about your teeth, Joe.
Jesus, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, I know. But dear Lord, I know. So when you say I wish we had these cameras back then, man, like that would have been a viral video. Not that but anyways.
That would have got demonetized instantly.
Yeah, we'll tell that story later, but man, that's one of the gnarliest wrecks on a BMX bike. And his teeth are amazing now. Of course, he's had a lot done to the teeth over the years.
But his dad still doesn't have call waiting.
There's no need for it, you know. But speaking of, you know, technology, and if you ever get the chance, and if you look at sort of I've seen a chart of it. If you look at the trajectory of computer technology, if you will, and how quickly it started to skyrocket. It was right after the Roswell incident. Not like trying to make this a podcast about aliens, but you tuned in and you're listening, so you're here and we're going to talk about it. But it's true.
The Greys are among us.
The technology absolutely, if you look at it like a, you know, sort of like a stock market ticker, right? It just pointed up towards the sky and took off. Like once we got our hands on all that stuff and started reverse engineering,
Once they allowed us to have it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we carry around in our Androids and our iPhones is all derived from UFO technology. This, you know, the microphone technology, the laptop in front of me, the mixing board, your phone, my phone, the cameras in this room, the little Bluetooth. Like, what was her name? Hedy Lamarr is the one. She was an actress, right? She's the one that came up with Bluetooth technology. And like, can you imagine going like, let's go like say like our great grandparents, if we could bring them here in the room and go like this connects wirelessly to that over there. They wouldn't even know, you know, like that was the generation that thought there were little people inside the TVs. They would look behind them. No, like I've heard the stories. Like I've heard my grandmother talk about her parents, like when the TVs came out and she was like in her 30s or whatever. And they would be like, how did they get the people so small in there? They're in there, right? But can you imagine like trying to explain to them, like, this connects wirelessly, you know, over there. And then this phone, it's mind boggling how far all this has come. And man, this is just turning into some Gen X. Anyway, so I had the key around my neck and I saw my parents like once a month and they left a $5 under the mat, and boy, you could live on McDonald's for like a month with like a $5 bill. Like, but there's something you touched on that is also a part of my intent in doing this podcast is, I stay, I talk to my kids a lot, whether it's FaceTime. I love, my daughter's got a phone now. She's 12. She texts, but talked to her on the phone last night. She's hilarious, and talk to my son all the time. But it's also another avenue. You made me think of this, and it's been a thought that I haven't actually verbalized yet, is in the distance, right? That's between us. It's also another great avenue for if they want to kick on an episode and just to
Keep
like
tabs on you.
yeah, just know another aspect, of my life, which, like obviously like we're hanging out and stuff and doing all that, but it's different when it's long distance. And it's also one of those things where, yeah, it's just another, it's another avenue for that. So it's definitely, makes it, super, super cool. So, in the YouTube realm, as you've sort of evolved and there's been a progression, and I always love, by the way, Travis is out at the Cars and Coffee in Sherwood at Langer's Farm a lot.
Langer's Family Fun Center.
Sorry, Langer's Family Fun Center.
There is a Langer's Farm.
Yeah, not to be confused with.
It's two different places.
Somebody might just listen to this and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go check it out." And they're at some farm one day, and they're like, "There's no Cars and Coffee here."
What the hell?
Yeah.
Damn it, Bobby.
Damn. If you go to governmentconspiracy.com,
You'll find our annual schedule.
yeah, it's always cool to watch, and I always enjoy when it fits and to make the drive out there, which is nice. It's on Saturdays because there's not a lot of traffic. But as you started to do more of the YouTube, like what's a channel or what's a personality that kind of acted as like a spark? What kind of gave some like inspiration when you're like, hey, like, because I think to your point of like, you're like, well, the drums, maybe didn't work and my knee is, and what I think YouTube highlights is like, not to sound cheesy or cliche, but like there is creative in all of us. It's just finding like the avenue, with this, it's like, I love talking music, love talking with friends. So it's like, let's turn on a microphone. Easy. You know what I mean? It's like, we're going to have the conversation anyways.
Right.
So why don't we just turn on a microphone and have it? But because I know like there's certainly a couple people for me that I've had that aha moment where it's like, I see this dude, like Steve-O for an example. And there's this guy, his co-host, Skinny Vinny, who actually engages with some of my stuff. I've got like a page that I haven't really shown anybody on Instagram. Like my kids have seen it. I've kind of been like journaling a little bit about kind of not drinking, and it kind of has like a punk rock look. And I've been like flirting with like that realm of social media. And what's funny is like people like Brandon Novak, who was on like the BAM CKY, like he's interacted with me on there. Lucas Mack, who does like deep breath work, but like the channel itself hasn't really taken off. It's like, oh, these rad people have seen it, and like they're like, oh, like I like your post, or I like this comment. It's like, but this guy Skinny Vinny, he is on the Steve-O podcast, and I'm looking at these two guys like they're in a van and they're talking to people like Bill Burr or Jelly Roll or whoever. I even watched an episode where they interviewed The Situation. Dude, you're laughing. I'm laughing. I watched the whole episode and I'm like, that Situation guy's pretty smart. Like, I never watched Jersey Shore, but dude, I mean, he's somebody who hit absolute rock bottom and turned his life around, and he's a smart guy. So like, I'm watching this podcast and I'm like, if these guys can sit in a van and turn on a mic, like why not us sitting here right now? You know what I mean?
It can get diluted. And like there can be an overwhelming amount of podcasts out there to cipher through. Yeah. And that was the thing. I didn't want to get too deep into it, and I never wanted to get burned out. And I never thought about an end game. Like, why am I doing this? I just wanted to do something, right? And I've always had that mindset, and I've lived my life a little bit like if you're going to do it, it might as well be worth doing, and it might as well try to make it as fun as possible, try to enjoy it. Yeah. If it's not enjoyable, like you're just going to be miserable the whole time. Yeah. Right? Like work should be fun. If it doesn't feel like work, then you're not working, right? Yeah. But in money, you get a paycheck because, oh, this is awesome.
Agreed.
That kind of thing. And so like I just enjoyed doing it anyway. So why not try to do something that honestly, to me, it means something. Like I can actually do something, produce something, sit down, take this out of, this event happened, or if I do like a how-to video or do
Yeah.
something else, take something out of basically thin air, bring it together, combine it with music, combine it with some, I just recently got in front of the camera. Like, in all my cars and coffee stuff, I've always tried to stay away from the front of the camera and just make it about the car show. And that's what's gotten me a lot of the notoriety from those guys is the fact that I just make it about the car show.
Yeah.
Like there's a kid named Cam that's local. And,
Yeah, I follow his stuff.
and how he's all like, wow, and all over the top and stuff. That's a hard thing to do and to keep that up.
Works for some people.
And if it's natural to you, that's one thing. But that wasn't natural to me. But that was somebody that I followed because of the content.
Yeah.
Like I liked what he was producing, but there was some of it I couldn't watch because it was so over the top. And so me having that,
It's kind of like you go to Dutch Bros
no,
and they're like, yo, bro. And you're like, dude, here's the deal.
I need my coffee.
I just need a coffee. This one time I pulled into a Dutch Bros, true story, and we're going to get back to what exactly you're saying. I pulled into a Dutch Bros at like 6 a.m. down in Southern Oregon. True story, hand to God. And I got the whole, just over the top greeting that morning. And it's like, what are you up to today, man? Just actually going into work. It's 6 a.m. It's dark out. Brosif. And this came out of the broista's mouth. Hand to God, I shit you not.
Broista?
I go, how's your day going? And he's like, it's fucking going awesome, man. I already got up this morning, went wakeboarding at like 3 a.m. And I'm like, what in the brosnitch? Like, you got up, went wakeboarding 3 a.m.
Who drives a boat in the dark?
Dude. The lake wasn't that far away from Medford. It was just north up by Shady Cove there. So it was plausible. It tracked. The lake wasn't that far away.
Okay.
But this guy was jamming. It's still dark out, right? And he appears to be sober.
But he sniffles?
No, he was one of the happiest broistas I've ever seen in my life. But I guess if I got up at 3 a.m., hit the glass water bra, and got and then went to work for the AM shift at Dutch Bros.
Made a few tips,
It was, yeah. So my point is sometimes like you just want to pull through BlackRock or just hit like the AM PM, and you don't need the person like yelling at you through the virtual megaphone of like, listen, I don't mind being friendly. I'm a decent human, but for the love of God, give me my coffee. So I get it. It has a place on some, like if I'm in the mood for James Humphrey on his new station.
Oh yeah, Speed.
And I watched his Carhartt documentary. Mm-hmm. It's like, I like that guy's videos a lot, especially when I'm in the mood for him. I don't know if I would it's not my go-to. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off,
You're
but
fine.
Yeah.
His
back
yellow
at it.
microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just could not see myself being that guy. Like I didn't want to be that guy because I didn't want to have to try to keep that persona up. And then I also like, reality check, I'm not one of these 20-something-year-old kids out there that is doing this thing.
Yeah.
I'm middle-aged dude doing this thing. It's not about that. It's about the content and the people that are going to watch it, more people my age. And if I look through my analytics, that shows.
Yeah.
It comes on, I think it's like 18 to 24 or something like that. That one's kind of light, but then the next one's pretty heavy all the way up to 60-year-olds. So, I know that who I need to cater to, and it's not that. And so I didn't want to do that, but I wanted to do the thing and just kept going at it. And now it feels like it's something that I have to do. I've invested a lot of money into this stuff, marketing, my equipment, my every month, I Premiere or Adobe is a suite, is a subscription based thing.
Yep.
So it's costing me money every month to have that. And then for my music, and all that stuff. And that's the other part of it. Music, trying to get music in there. It's come down to a feel. Like I can't try to like, oh, I like this song. And I've gotten to look at music as like a graph. Like, could I edit to this heartbeat kind of a thing? And oh yeah, I could do that. Or sometimes it's more just, I got to get the feel of the song. And I spend, there's probably half hour, 45 minutes of, like Joe used to play his guitar. Like 15 seconds, and then you're to the next one, and it's just, and Tanisha's like, oh, that song's kind of good, or whatever in the background. And a lot of times I'll just put my headphones on and, just zone out, try to find something good. Mike has a hard time with that. That's why he stopped his channel, was music and all of his drone stuff. And he's kind of starting to get back into it, but music for him kind of killed it. And that's what he and I talk quite a bit about this stuff too. And he's like, yeah, I like the video, but I couldn't listen to it. I had to put it on mute.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was curious about that because he dropped a comment on, I think, the first podcast I did, and I was like, oh yeah, like I was checking his stuff out, and I like it. I think the drone stuff is cool. Again, it's fun to turn on, like, not only see what your friends are doing, but it's like, oh, like, yeah, it's a great angle or shot, or creatively, I wouldn't have thought of it that way or whatever.
I did a video for him.
You? Yeah.
They went to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Few months ago, and he gave me a bunch of his footage, and he's like, hey, I want to see what you would do with this. Like, you weren't a part of it, but here's a bunch of clips, do something with it.
Right.
And I did, and yeah, I don't know if it ever saw the light of day. I know it saw a bunch of views on, like, probably 30 or 40 views on my channel, but I think that was just he and I going back and forth over the edit.
Right.
Like, I don't really like this, or I don't really like that, or, and then I think he ended up using part of it because I sent him the raw file, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
I sent it up through, I think, Drive or whatever. And
yeah.
He got it. But there was a couple parts in there where I actually saved his video. And he made that comment too, because he flew up by this waterfall, and your drones don't have audio. It's just a video part. And so I added birds chirping. I added waterfall sounds as he's, flying by this thing. I'm making it three-dimensional, if you will, versus just this flat video image. And that was pretty cool. And then he was actually keen-eyed enough to notice that there was one shot that he got, and I'm like, dude, this looks better if I play it in reverse. With my tour box, I can rotate the knob forward and back, and it'll play the clip forward and back. It just runs the playhead. And so you can watch it in reverse. If you go it fast enough, it's like, I like that better.
Right.
And so that's why I did that. He's like, in this video, they're walking backwards. Put it in there in reverse because I thought it looked better. He's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I'm like, yeah,
nice. Yeah, the music thing. So I've flirted with shorts for like the last year or so, and I've noticed they'll spike in views, and I like them because whatever visual. Like last October, I was in the Evergreen Space Museum, and a short that got lot of views was the SR-71, and I forget what song I said it to, but it was, how you can see the views that a short is in, like you can see like, oh, this short's, the song's in like a short, and it's like got 1 million streams or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I remember like matching up songs that I just thought went with the plane, because like that's just kind of how my mind works. Like there was a sort of, I'm probably going to get the name wrong, but like a Vietnam era helicopter, kind of like I don't think Huey is, yeah,
chopper.
I'm not trying to do it any disrespect.
Get to the chopper.
But when I saw this little clip, because I'm like, last October, I'm like, what kind of content, what genre is going to kind of grab some natural organic views? So it's like SR-71 got a lot of views. I think there's parts of the Berlin Wall in the Evergreen Space Museum, which is crazy. And speaking of Evergreen, I have a story about a house that we toured last weekend in McMinnville. It's really cool. But I got to the helicopter, and there was a song that I put in there that wasn't hardly in like any shorts at all, but it was Creedence Clearwater Revival. The song that's in all the NAMM movies.
Yeah.
Right. But it like when I see the visual and I put it on that short, it just like it makes me happy, and I'm like, okay, well, it's gonna make a couple other people happy too. So I get that frustration that Mike was running into, and this is over a 10-second clip.
Well, I'm doing it with,
and you're doing it over,
I'm doing it over, like, I'm not taking popular music. I'm trying to find some obscure song that's just coming across this playlist. And one cool thing about those guys is they break the songs down into little, I don't know, like maybe 30 seconds or a minute long. And it's when you're in this section of the song, whatever it is, you can click a button that says find similar.
Right.
And then they'll give you like 10 more songs that has something similar to this section of that previous song. And so that's usually how I'm able to link my songs being similar in feel and genre and whatever. They're not just all over the place. And then I've also tried to get away from using the whole thing.
Yeah.
I try to mix in some of the ambient sounds too.
So, yeah, you bring up something that, as I'm, venturing into this, and sound and music is the primary focus, and whatever, sort of dovetails off of that, cars or drone videos or whatever. But I noticed a lot of the channels that the big music channels that I gravitate towards. It's funny, like how many documentaries there are about, say, a band like Finch, or just pick a band, doesn't matter. Where they'll have this 15-minute documentary and there's not even a note of music in there. It's like, oh, they're avoiding that copyright thing. And you learn all about the band and all the drama and what happened and this album and that and this song that hit and this one that didn't. And you get to the end of the video and you go, there wasn't any music in it. And then some of the huge channels, like they'll have music in those. Like they're really with millions and millions of views. And I assume they're probably paying
They're reaching out to the artist
hefty
and like, hey, we're making this documentary.
license.
Yeah, can we get a song or two? Or you
Yeah.
know, there's some sort of contract that's been written.
Exactly. Like, probably won't be on this video. I'm going to figure out a way to dub in Maddox. He does a lot of beats, and I'm always like, you know, he's 17, he's figuring out what he wants to do, but he really is gravitated towards making beats. And what blows me away is, like, I'm not saying they're good because he's my son. They're good. And it's like I sent one to Burris. I sent it out like a year ago. I sent it to you. I sent it to Burris. And immediately Joe sent me a clip back, and Joe's already playing the guitar lick on his acoustic on the couch.
Oh, nice.
You know, and like 10 minutes later, Maddox is like, what's that? And I'm like, it's Joe. He's like, I'm like, yeah, that's Joe playing. I just sent him your song, and he just automatically picks up the guitar and starts playing the guitar lick that you had the ear. Like he's thrown in like horns and saxophones. Like it's all hip hop based.
Mm-hmm.
But another example is
You should send me some new stuff and I can put it in with mine.
awesome. Yeah, I'll send you his channel. It's VV Victor. I think Maddox or Maddox. He's got.
I follow him on Instagram.
Yeah, it's the same name. And in that world of 17-year-olds, they have like a boatload of other sub channels. I mean, it's like it's hilarious. It's awesome. I know.
I can barely have the one.
One, exactly. No, dude, we almost said that in stereo at the same time. But yeah, there's a couple on my end because I've kind of been, you know, sort of like testing the waters kind of with this no tape deck thing I've had bookmarked forever. It's always been a name. Nobody's asked me yet what the name means, which I think is kind of funny. I think you kind of know. I think I told you one day what the name means.
I don't think so.
So with the name No Tape Deck, we'll talk about it today. It's very brief, but I was kind of a couple different names were bouncing off my head when it was like, oh, I want to do a podcast. I want it to be based in music. I had a couple names bouncing around, and Ryan Jeffries had this bumper sticker on his Ford Bronco 2. Okay?
I remember it.
Yeah. It said no tape deck already stolen. Because he got his shit jacked. And the guy he had such a great sense of humor. And I remember he was so pissed off for months, rightfully so.
Right.
Because he's like, I can't afford another one, you know? But it got stolen, so he bought the bumper sticker that said no tape deck already stolen. And that's just one of those things that has lived in my memory forever, because I thought, like, what a funny, awesome, typical Ryan Jeffries way, rest his soul, to handle something that would just like piss anybody off, right? So back, I want to say, like, let's just say 6 months ago, I got a random text from Montana, and I noticed he had put me and Joe in a group together, and then the conversation didn't really, it was something not really, it was like a meme or something. It was just something brief. And then the conversation kind of picked back up, and he chimed back in and said, hey, I've been listening to, you know, this blah, blah, blah. I heard this song and it reminded me of Ryan. And so we were like, oh yeah, that song for sure. It's like Korn or something, right? Mm-hmm. And then I was thinking, there's this artist, a friend of mine. He used to go by the name Onward, Etc. He goes by Aggie Birch. Now he lives, I'm probably going to mess it up. Sorry, Roscoe, but I think he lives in North Dakota now. He came through Portland last year. He's awesome. And when I met him back in 2017, I thought, God, this is a guy that Ryan would have told us about. Like Ryan would have been buddies with him. Mm-hmm. He'd been like, oh, you're gonna hang out with this guy. He's gonna be your new best friend. So every time I've listened to Onward, Etc., I always think of Ryan. So I think I brought that up in the conversation, and then out of nowhere, Montana goes, do you remember when his fucking tape deck got stolen? And at the time, it's weird how all I was seeing at the time was like, I had this voice in my head that was saying, dude, start making the podcast that lives in your head. Just start doing it. Just do something. And
Dude, that's so funny that you say that. There's this guy I watch, Roman Atwood.
Yeah.
Used to be a big prankster.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, just start. Just do something.
Like Gary Vee, just fucking execute. Just execute,
do
execute,
something.
execute.
Yeah.
Because like that's the thing. Sometimes I just can't get out of my own way, and it's like, well, and then I like, it's like, oh, you just want to get to the end goal, and like I want it to look like this and package. But like you said, it's like,
and that's the thing for me is I don't know what it's gonna look like.
right.
And so I'm just as blown away. Like I've made a couple different videos, and I sit back and I'm like, holy shit, that's a good video. I did that. Like,
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's,
That was mine. Yeah.
That came out, but yeah. So that name, because I felt like it's going to be an art project, and this is sort of like the drummer in me, the person that was once a part of a couple different projects, was like when you go and you record and you put together an album, there's a concept to it. So I can't get that out of my head. Like there has to be this name. I can't do it till I've settled on a good name.
That's
like
one thing that Cletus just said. Went on Dale Jr.'s podcast, Mo Money or Dirty Mo Media. I don't know if you've seen his at all. He talks all
a little bit.
Dale Jr.
Yeah. Because sorry, go ahead.
No.
But I have a fun fact about him in a minute.
He was on there, and one of the things he said was that we used to just film whatever we were doing. Like we're doing breaks today, we're filming breaks. That's what our video is. Now they make a thumbnailable video.
Yeah.
If they can't make a thumbnail, like a sellable thumbnail for this video, they're not going to make it. And so that concept is there, and then they go towards, or the name of the video, like this recent one is a cheap RV challenge, and they got he's going to race Talladega next weekend, and so he spent $15,000 buying 3 cheap RVs, so him and all of his buddies could go party in Talladega, and he can race an Arctic car. It's like, dude, that's
so rad.
so awesome.
Yeah,
That's so
rad. Yeah.
like you asked me earlier, where's my inspiration?
Yeah.
That guy right there.
Yeah.
Like just, I don't know, vicariously reliving some of my earlier years through some of these guys, but then also at the same time, like I would be doing the same thing anyway. Like if I wasn't married with kids, this is probably what my life would be on the road, maybe somewhere in the Southwest where it's warm and it's cars all year long. Like that would just be what I would be doing.
Yeah.
And so to watch somebody else, well, I got to go to work tomorrow and I got to take care of my responsibilities. So I can't do that, but these guys can, and they're having a great time, and I can enjoy that for,
and you can get a lens into that.
Yeah.
And that's, kind of, we kind of are where we are, and speaking to the creator, the creative aspect in all of us earlier. But did you see that he had a playlist that was leaked a few months ago? Like one of his Spotify, it was meant to be private. One of his that he likes. I'm gonna have to pull it up here real quick because I don't want to get the artist wrong. I was like, really? Like, I was so impressed. I think I know the artist. I should know off the top of my. Did you hear about this? It was like all Angels and Airwaves, and everybody was like, "Dude, he listens to Angels and Airwaves." Apparently, he's like a huge fan, and I don't know if it was on purpose, but it was kind of. I don't know if a lot of people would link him up with a spacey sounding, band like that. That's so like atmospheric and sort of. I just compare them to a modern day Pink Floyd. They're about the closest thing because there is no other band. Never has been, never will be, brother. And I guarantee that, brother.
There's only one original.
Back in my day. But yeah, it kind of came as a shock that old Earnhardt Jr. was an AVA fan. So before we lose the thought, back to that thing where you're like, yeah, it's like I just enjoy doing it. And then I get this product and it's kind of fun, because life's an adventure, man. And it's not a destination, man. I saw this meme today and I think it fits because this is back to like the name and what it means and how things happen with like great timing for when they're meant to unfold. But it just says artists don't retire. They just drop dead one day. Retirement is for people with jobs, not for people obsessed with something that keeps them from walking into traffic.
So on Cletus's channel, there's old Sam. Sam's got to be 80 years old. I think he just turned 80. old war guy, and he's a car detailer.
Yeah.
And he comes around and he just shines up Cletus's cars, and he's just hanging out, just doing the car thing like he did when he was younger, but now he's older and he's just doing it. And he started a YouTube channel. He's got a few 100,000 subscribers, and he's got his line, the Tire Shine, that, you know, he makes a little bit of money off of, I'm sure, from those guys. But
Sweet.
he's still doing the thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Go,
Yeah.
Sam, go.
Yeah.
Go pee.
That's rad. Cool. We will take 5 and we'll come back and we'll put a fork in it and put a bow on it. Awesome. We are back. So yeah, I think we're about at the 50 minute mark. And you're I know. It's like time flies. Like I said, it's like just turn the
That was one of the things that kind of turned me off about podcasts at first was like, I'm looking at these like over an hour long, and I'm like, I don't want to watch a movie length thing of just these dudes sitting here talking.
Yeah.
And because I guess I wanted my dopamine faster in smaller bits.
Right.
And I have found myself in like this 20 to 25 minute range.
Yeah.
Unless it's something that, like, every now and again I'll tune in at work. I'll have the opportunity to actually zone out, put in my earbuds and just zone out and listen to something for a long time.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen all the time because I got to look at this and I got to think when I'm
100%.
working. So I can't just, there are times, but not all the time. So I haven't really gotten into it, but of lately, and a lot of it is that longer format. Like, I'm committing a lot to this.
Yeah, it started for me a few years ago, probably 4 or 5. And then I hear what you say with like the time, and there's like, it depends on what time of day I listen to something. Like the longer ones, like that recent podcast, it's called One Life, One Chance, hosted by Toby Morse. And it's the one where he talks about Bigfoot. That's like 2.5 hours long. So I didn't listen to it all at once. But once I did listen to the whole thing, I like bookmarked. I was like, oh yeah, started at 1 hour, 25 minutes and listened for about 30 minutes. And anybody that's listening to this, if you go, I'll put a screenshot of the episode just at the end of the video so you can see it and go listen to it if you love anything extraterrestrial, because he says some things, and anytime he talks about that stuff, I have to listen to it over and over because he knows so much about it. There's certain ones that are shorter where it's like I kind of already know like when I'm going to listen to that podcast. You know what I mean? Like the Mysterious Universe is usually around an hour. I'll definitely listen to that weekly. Bill Burr does one a couple times a week. The guy's hilarious. One of them's longer than the other one, so I always know one is going to kind of be longer. And yeah, they just they become like a show to me where it's like,
I think that's a good way to get into people.
Yeah.
I've gotten into a couple new people.
Yeah.
Because they have short form of their long form content.
Totally.
So they'll take little snippets and they'll do little bits and then they'll put those out.
Right.
And they do them kind of the same thing. Like Asmongold is this guy, dude. This guy is weird, right? Like he's funny as hell to watch,
right.
And the stuff he commentates is like, what? And like to just get this whole other like younger over here perspective is
totally different lens.
It's exactly. And it's like, whoa. But then he has longer form content stuff too. And it's like I try to watch some of that and it's like, okay, this is too much of this guy. And so, but I still tune into the guy. And I wouldn't otherwise tune into him if he only put out these longer formats. And so it's, I think, a broader brush to sweep in more audience.
Yep.
If that's what the goal is to get viewers and get ears on it. You know, that's to have multiple different ways of doing it is, I think, really key. And consistency is really key too. You got to do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Consistency is key. So by the time people listen to this one, there will be this one's going to come. I'm midstream on another one. I'll have it wrapped up tonight and published.
That was the other thing I was going to say too.
Yep.
Podcasting is, I'm almost jealous of the formatting of it because like what I do, if I was to do like the Mustang Day, which was 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks. Yeah, because last week was the Easter weekend.
Yeah. So if I was to do that video and put it out like 2 or 3 weeks from now, it's not that relevant. And, you know, it's a long time ago and people have done other things. And so when I'm doing my stuff, I got to like, it used to be on Saturday. Like I'd go film and then I'd edit and I'd post it. Everything happened all in one day. And I was like, if I do it Sunday, because I watched some of the other people that like some of the photographers, and like they've got like they post like 50 pictures, and all these pictures have been touched, but they're posting on Sunday because they spent all day Saturday doing the thing, and then it came out. It's still relevant, but they're not rushing it. And when you can go back and you can actually, I can watch that progression point of, oh, this was an all day Saturday. This is a Saturday and then now into Sunday release. And once I figured that out and I got that into my head,
Totally.
it was like, oh, okay, now let me sit back and let me put a little bit more time, a little bit more effort, detail this a little bit more. And that's when, like that subscriber thing you're talking about, that's when that came in. And
It's so funny that you said that, because literally this top 10 Coachella video, because I think
you can watch it from the start to the end and see it.
I'm trying to make it under 10 minutes, like a top 10 that when you look at the time, a person I hope will see it and go, yeah, it's under 10 minutes. That doesn't seem incredibly long, but it is a top 10. So let's hear what this guy, this No Tape Deck guy, has to say. But there's also that thing, I think, in the back of all of our minds, right? I can tell by the podcaster I'm listening to, because some of them will say today is blah, blah, blah. Like today's April 22nd, 2025, right? And so this is I'll release this in a couple days. I'm mid-edit on that one. And this, I figure Cars and Coffee is on Saturday. This will come out, my goal is Thursday. So that way it's like hey, and I want to get out to one again soon for sure. But I think on all of our minds, like we're groomed is the wrong word, but we're very accustomed to like this
instant gratification
age of, yeah, exactly. We walk into the Mexican restaurant and where's my chips and salsa? Because dear Lord, we all love chips and salsa. And if you get the bean dip, kind of entering into
that's
that
a meal into
ASMR.
itself.
Exactly. Keep them coming.
Bottomless, right?
Bottomless, yeah. And we're trying to find the bottom still. 100%. Yeah, dude. Oh, the fries and the sauce there. But so yeah, I had to tell myself, it's so funny that you said that, because you've done way more videos than me. But as I'm sitting here editing it last night and it's like 11:30 and I'm going, you gotta go to bed, man. There's that feeling. And it's like, I just tell myself, once I get to this point, I'm good for tonight. Because when your head is wrapped around it, I think you want to just complete that project. But then I said, you know what? This subject of Coachella is going to go, several days. And besides, like, my point is, if it gets 10 views, I hope the 10 people that see it enjoy it. My grassroots goal is 100%, quality over quantity, and the people that watch it, I want them to enjoy it.
You'll figure that out real quick on YouTube, that's not how that works.
So that's okay.
44 Club, a 44 Club, that's a real thing from How Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Those Australian guys, they came out with like Dude Perfect in that same time period, and they do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They have 10 million subscribers.
Gotcha.
And their thing is the 44 Club.
44 Club.
44% of the people watch the video all the way through.
Awesome. And which is weird, because my lucky number is 44. So,
and they're big time. Like my average is like a third.
Yeah, I think because you can read all those analytics, I think you looked at mine sometime and you were like, shit, dude, people actually like watch a lot of your stuff all the way through. Like, I was like, sweet. Like, because I didn't know how to read that stuff. And you're like, no, this looks really good, man. You should, I was like, oh, I didn't mean to. But yeah,
those are the best ones. Like my Mustang Day video.
Yeah.
I started that video. That was the day of Destiny's birthday party.
Yeah.
And so we had people over the house. And I started that video at like 11:30 at night.
Yeah.
And I didn't go to bed till 2:30.
Yeah.
And I had it thumbnailed, everything done, went to bed and woke up the next day and I was like, holy crap, this thing's getting some traction. And I didn't think I did that great of a job because I felt rushed and I was tired and just And then when I went last week to Cars and Coffee, Lisa pulled me aside and she's like, hey, that video last week was good. I'm like, huh? Really? Like, and even YouTube was like, hey, my videos, they like money wise in the first week is usually about $1, maybe a little bit more than that. And that one actually was almost $2. It's like, holy shit. And then that Ferrari video, I think it did $4 in the first week. I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah. So it's like you're not really aiming to, but it's like it happens as like a natural byproduct of
not being
habits and consistency and
not being like creative or feel like I've been creative, making this thing, producing this thing, putting it out in the world, and then people receiving it. Yeah. And you're like, whoa, people like this. This is cool. That's better than any drug I've ever done.
No, man. Yeah. I can relate that to playing a song where you're always your worst critic, and somebody tells you after the show that like, hey, I heard that song tonight and I thought it's the best you've played it, or the band played it, and you go, wow, like I maybe didn't think it was, and then you maybe hear it from a couple more people, and then you go, man, like that's cool. I'm glad, because it's sort of, you're not expecting it is kind of what I'm getting. You're like, I was up late, so I'm putting in the work, and I did this, and you're not like cutting any corners, but like you did it, and you kind of thought, maybe it's rushed or whatever, and then you get this really really good response, which and that's the thing, whether cars, music, whatever sort of medium, making an art,
being vulnerable and creating,
dude, and that's the thing, is
not getting knocked down.
Yeah, and this is almost a whole nother podcast episode, but it's like, if you're making anything at all, like just name what you're doing, and yeah, you want people to like it, and you have to accept the fact that like some people aren't. That's why I made that post the other day, and it's like,
you got to embrace the haters.
I figure, well, you have to, but I figured like
they're viewers too.
These are my personal pages, and I know if somebody were to start pushing something, like a friend of mine, it's kind of cool to get the heads up, like, cool, I get it, you're leaning in this direction, and I'll support anything my friends do.
Wasn't it Elvis's manager that did like the anti-Elvis merchandise stuff and capitalized from the people that didn't like him?
Yeah, probably. But it was sort of like a, hey, like, if you want to be a part of this, that's awesome. And if you don't, that's okay too. You know what I mean? Because I'm embracing it all. Like, if you don't, that's fine. Like, I don't expect it to be everybody's cup of tea, but as, creating anything, whether it's we'll just use a drawing for an example. Like, the natural thing is creating a video or whatever, like, you want people to, you just want to, you want them to connect with it. And it does, if people don't, it's like, and maybe it's just not meant for them, and that's fine. It's like, say a band name, and there's going to be people that love them, Elvis, and there's going to be people that are like, I don't know, I'm shaking them hips, being suggestive back in the 50s, you know what I mean?
Pregnant, just
and going to the show, and I don't even want to do an Elvis impression. It'll live in YouTube forever. So I'm not going to do an impression, but yeah, that's a great point of, and maybe it's for another podcast, but one time in Hillsborough, I went to a house for a past life career thing, and I met one of his old bodyguards, and it was during the Kobe Bryant trial, so it was an interesting conversation. So to meet one of Elvis's handlers at one point in my life and he wrote a book and he showed it to me. So this guy was the real deal.
Wow.
It was like 20 years ago. So this is before I could fact check him on the internet and go, is this really you? It was him, because he wrote a book and showed it to me. But that's a great way to put it. It's like
I sell books too.
Yeah, sell books. We're putting something out there, and it's like, naturally you just want people to dig it, and if they don't, then that's just a part of life. It's all.
That was a total mockery. Tanisha started doing shirts, and doing that stuff, and I was like, you need to put this online. Like, these are good.
Yeah,
like, you need to put this out there and do this thing. You make a good side hustle out of it. And she's like, no, I don't want to, and this and that. Just give me all these excuses. Why not? And me and Andy are sitting there one night, and we're just going to town, and I was like, dude, let's check this out. And so just started doing this stuff, right? And made a Shopify account, made all this stuff. And then it was just before that when I figured out the Amazon KDP thing, the Kindle Direct Publishing.
Yeah.
And just doing a quick search of their own books, like, what's a top seller? Oh, this one is? It's this old chicken recipe book, 50 Ways to Eat Cock. And it, dude, sells like pancake. I'm just like, what? And so I made one. All my books are 100 pages. Yeah. They're just notebooks. That's all they are. I one day I watched this video, how to make money on the internet, and one of them, like number 4, was KDP, and these people making low to no content books and selling them through Amazon. And I'm like, what? And some of these people make like $1,500 a month. I'm like, dude, perfect.
10 grand a year.
Yeah.
In the bank, right?
Yeah. And so, okay, I'll do this. And so that book, I mimicked it, and I made one that's 100 Ways to Eat Cock, and it's just a notebook. And so if you go on Amazon and you search up 50 Ways to Eat Cock and you scroll down a little bit, people who bought this also bought this. It's my book.
There you go.
Right there. And
it's in the algo. It's in the algo.
Oh, dude, like it pays. And I did this like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't really promote it. I made a website for it, and it just
you just
sucked.
did, so.
Well, there you go. I made a website for it, but I never put it out there because it just sucked. And it just is finding itself, and it makes enough money every month that it pays for my Adobe subscription.
There you go.
So like
Cancels that out.
I figured out a way to wash out my thing. And so
Right.
now that's where I got to figure out how to capitalize on it. And I've done 2 paying gigs so far where I sold some footage that I shot footage I had, and then did something for somebody and gave them everything that I produced. And here, this is yours now. And they paid me for it.
Yeah. And that's a very artistic way to look at it, because if you're going after the dollar, then it's just commerce and anybody can do commerce. But if money follows it, then that's just a byproduct of creating a piece of art, and be it 100 ways to eat a chicken or whatever.
I figured, a guy like Cletus McFarland builds a YouTube channel with 4 million subscribers using his iPhone.
Yeah.
It really, there's not a thing. It's just do it. It's just make something and just put it out there.
Execute. So, if you're hearing that and you've made it this far and you're part of what we now know as the 44 Club, which means, again,
44% of the people stick around for the entire video.
Awesome. And you're our people, because you're still here, and we are about an hour in. So we're going to put a bow on it. I thank you, and you'll be on for sure again at some point. But for sure, his link is going to be in the description. There's going to be a link to the song Sip by my son Maddox. And thank you so much. Please hit the like, subscribe button. And dude, thanks again. It was a rad conversation, and look forward to next time already.
Hell yeah, brother.
All right, brother. All right, take care, everybody. It is a crazy, crazy world out there. Be good to each other. It is your friend Buck today with
the Schultz-ster.
No tape deck. Take care. You see the video and you go, there wasn't any music in it. And then some of the huge channels, like they'll have music in those, like they're really with millions and millions of views, and I assume they're probably paying.
They're reaching out to the artist and like, hey, we're making this documentary
license.
Yeah, can we get a song or two, or you know, there's some sort of contract that's been written.
Exactly. Like, probably won't be on this video. I'm gonna figure out a way to dub in Maddox. He does a lot of beats, and I'm always like, he's 17, he's figuring out what he wants to do, but he really is gravitated towards making beats. And what blows me away is, like, I'm not saying they're good because he's my son. They're good. And it's like I sent one to Burris. I sent out like a year ago. I sent it to you. I sent it to Burris. And immediately Joe sent me a clip back, and Joe's already playing the guitar lick on his acoustic on the couch.
Oh, nice.
And like 10 minutes later, Maddox is like, what's that? And I'm like, it's Joe. He's like, I'm like, yeah, it's Joe playing. I just sent him your song, and he just automatically picks up the guitar and starts playing the guitar lick that you had the ear. Like, he's thrown in like horns and saxophones. Like, it's all hip hop based.
Mm-hmm.
But another example is,
you should send me some new stuff and I can put it in with mine.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll send you his channel.
Are we getting close to disclosure?
We are.